Welcome back to another episode of the Twin Elements podcast, proudly presented by Venture Hunting and Outdoors. If you're like us and passionate about hunting, spearfishing, and many other outdoor-related pursuits, with an eagerness to fast-track your learning, then this podcast is perfect for you. G'day legends, and welcome back to another episode of the Twin Elements podcast. Today we are joined by two legends in the Australian bow hunting scene. Brad Smith is best known for his iconic hunting film collection, Two Blade Productions. I can still actually remember my first interaction with Brad, in fact. Dad and I had just finished one of his films many moons ago. It might have been Deer Addiction or even Hogs of Oz, to be precise. Anyway, this is going back probably 20 years ago now, and with an eagerness to start filming our very own sort of family hunts, I actually asked Dad to reach out to Brad on my behalf. And mind you, we had never ever met Brad. We'd only ever seen him through his films. So Brad, as far as I'm aware, at the time lived in New South Wales and we lived in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Anyway, watching his films led me to write an email to Brad, which surprisingly, after probably a few days of sitting in his inbox or in the junk folder, surprisingly, much to my surprise, he replied to it, and the rest, to be honest, is history. Since that initial interaction, Brad has been somewhat of a role model for James and I, with his strong hunting ethics, the fact that he doesn't want to shoot out past 30 metres unless absolutely essential, which I guess he would probably argue is never really essential on a moving, living critter. Brad has a knowledge for the animals that he hunts and the landscapes he visits, and as I've described, Brad's willingness to help, complete strangers who often later have the tendency to become his mates is one of his greatest qualities, in my opinion. More recently, Brad has switched from DVDs to producing hunting films on YouTube. Many of you may have seen, these well-constructed pieces of cinematic brilliance under the Bow Hunting Down Under banner on YouTube. So Brad can be found on socials at @BradSmith_BowHuntDownUnder. And our second guest today is Matty Moore. So Matt is very much a jack of all trades. When he's not managing a cattle station up here in Cape York, wrangling feral cattle, fighting fires and working on broken down machinery, Matty is running hunting camps here at Kayuga Adventures. Matty is also part owner of Kayuga Broadheads, so he is a very, very busy man, as you can imagine. If you would wish to check out Matt, head on over to his socials at @MooreOfMatt, MooreOfMatt. And yeah, to be honest, with incredible hunting experience throughout Australia, both of these guests have plenty of knowledge to share based on their extensive experiences. So fresh off a week of hunting with the team, this episode wraps up our epic hunt with Kayuga Adventures. James and I jump in with the boys and we discuss everything from, a hunt with Kayuga Adventures, the costs associated, what to expect on a hunt with the team, as well as little things like early versus late season hunts and which hunt might sort of best fit your hunting criteria. We also dive into archery gear and tuning tips, arrow flight and aiming for a surprise release on every shot, anatomy of bedded boars, release aids and equipment, failures the team commonly see amongst hunters in camp, and much more. Plus, we've even touched on a few moments from the hunt where James and I follow the lads around with the camera gear and they actually get amongst a few critters themselves. So without further ado, we'll jump straight into the podcast. Alrighty guys, we are here at the infamous Strathburn station, sitting around the table from a couple of legends who we've grown up watching hunting, now been fortunate enough to do a bow hunt with. But yeah, Strathburn station is up in Cape York, North Queensland, for those that don't know, and we're up here in what would be like a late season kind of hunt, hunting just before the rain comes in, before sort of summer rains come in and sort of rehydrate the countryside because it's pretty dry up here at the moment. But we have pretty much capped off a week of hunting with these guys and it's been an awesome adventure. James and I think coming up here, we're pretty green towards Cape York and this style of hunting. And now being able to leave, it's just another hunt that I want to put on the bucket list for every year. It's been really awesome. But I think we'll start off by doing introductions. We'll sort of look around the table here and I'll let one of these boys go and introduce themselves. But I'm sure you guys will sort of know the voices if you guys have been paying attention to sort of the Australian bow hunting scene over the last few probably decades now.
Yeah, what do you want me to say?
So we've got our two esteemed guests who very much don't need any introduction in the hunting space here. Is on my left, we've got Mr. Matty Moore, who is the owner of Kayuga Adventures and also Kayuga Broadheads, one of the owners of Kayuga Broadheads. And across the table from me is the very good-looking Brad Smith, who had Two Blade Productions.
I told you, don't trust this.
Two Blade Productions and two Bow Hunt Down Under films, which I'm sure everyone is very familiar with. They do incredible work in their cinematography and storytelling. So we were lucky enough to spend a bit of time up here with these guys and chase some cracking hogs. I think for me, just the number of pigs and especially the quality of the hogs that we experienced up here, like it's one thing to come up here and like you see photos and stuff and you're like, oh yeah, but it's one of these things that we, most days we're seeing 8 to 10 shooter pigs. And I mean, we hunted hard, but we weren't killing ourselves either. And I think like the biggest thing, which these guys said beforehand, it's like if the wind doesn't, destroy us, being Strathburn's like in the center of Cape York. So I didn't fully understand that. And even talking to Matty on the phone beforehand, like, so you've got, especially this time of year, the sort of trade winds drop off. And so you've got winds coming from the east and winds coming from the west. And we didn't really have that many days of like, full gusts of wind really. Like it's been pretty quiet. And so you don't really have a lot of cover noise. You're in crunchy leaves and sometimes in thick vegetation, but you're in luckily in a very game rich environment, which sort of makes up for it. And yeah, we're seeing plenty of pigs. So really it was just those ones that everything fell together. And then, yeah, we got some really good hogs on the deck, but it just opened my eyes to how many really, really good boars up there. Like what Brad said, like they're sort of born with tusks up here, it feels like. But yeah, we've had an awesome week and a bit here, and it's just been great seeing the diversity in the countryside too, and just seeing like how many really good pigs you guys have up here.
Yeah, I think like from my perspective, it's been amazing just in the sense of you pretty much go to like we were doing a lot of waterhole like walks where it was either based around a spring, a swamp, a lagoon, or simply like a little dam or something like that. And it would be driving to within close proximity, getting out, chucking the gear on, and then trying to hit it obviously downwind and just, play that situation, try not to bump other pigs, wildlife, cattle, birds, all these sorts of things, and just like reading the queue. And we were pretty much blessed to be with either Matty or Brad for the whole trip, which was awesome, and just pick their brains and take a lot away from this style of hunting. But like from my perspective, it was you almost had the expectation that you were going to shoot or see at least a like 27 point boar on every waterhole, and it really did feel like that. And I don't know if that's being realistic. Like it felt like we almost on every waterhole would rock up and there was like a decent boar or somewhere in the close proximity, whether it was in the shade or whatnot. And I don't know if that's like if someone wants to come and do this hunt, if that's sort of the normal, or if this was just like an amazing trip where we got to see quite a lot of really quality animals. But even the ratio of like mature boars, or what I'd call like a decent hooky mature boar compared to just young boars, seemed to be through the roof, which was pretty cool hunting.
Yeah, I think this year was maybe a little bit, it's a dry season and we're talking the end of the season, so everything's a little bit more congregated. So you were sport a little bit, I dare say. Like, just depend wherever I took yous, we bumped onto some pigs, you know what I mean? And there was some good boars here and there. And like I said, the lack of water everywhere else and where it's drying up really quick, well, it limited the areas we have to hunt. And being the end of the season, we know what areas are working here and there. And, yeah, we just had to deal with those winds at times. But as a general rule, like anyone that comes here, they normally get 1 to 2 chances a day each. That's sort of the average. Some days they might get 3 or 4, other days they might get any. You know, it's not guaranteed, but it's, most of the time we certainly find pigs, and especially in these conditions at the moment.
Yeah, I think for me the big thing was just like the quality as well. Like what Ayden was saying, like it was like every pig we saw, or boar anyway, like you're like, oh, he's got like proper good hooks. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's just like,
It's not always like that.
oh, I can
Definitely not.
Yeah, I can imagine, but it was just like eye opening for us because, you know, like normally I'm flat out finding a set of hooks where like here, and like you said, I think it's just a accumulation of so many factors in the sense of like, yeah, very limited water, like from what you guys have sort of been saying the last week or whatever, that, you know, this is the driest year you've had in 4 or 5, or driest season you've had in 4 or 5 years, which obviously is like a huge factor. Whereas like you were saying this time previous years, like there was still water like that you guys had in what, like July sort of thing?
Yeah, we had sort of 3 or 4 good wet seasons, and which the hogs would have bred a lot, and it would have dispersed them, and they were spread out. And in them wet years, we were hunting areas that we never even knew held water. But then you have a year like this year where they don't hold water now, and they're back to the actual permanent waters, and them hogs have to come out of the thicket and come into the permanent waters there. Just to access them is a bit easier when it's a bit drier year.
You can't pick a butt, I reckon, some years, like, and some weeks we just seem to stumble on certain age class of pigs. And then other weeks it's like, geez, we've just sort of struggled, you know. It's with not so much to see pigs, to find pigs, but just to find those older pigs. They get a little bit that they don't want to mix with the family groups. And when there's a lot of water around everywhere, they'll sort of find an area where there's food and water, and they can be solitary, if that makes sense.
So I guess to turn that into a question for someone that's like, you know, a lot of people are probably finding whether this is like, you know, all up the East Coast or in the Northern Territory or something like that. Like what factors are you looking for to like, I know we had a lot of time just like driving around finding pads and like that type of thing, like Smithy or like, and Matty as well. We just hunted with Smithy a bit more, but yeah, like reading sign and game trails and stuff, and where, because I think you're saying like they're constantly moving on food sources. You know, even though there is water there, they may not necessarily be there. Like, you know, you're sort of reading everything all the time, even when you're driving around. Like, so what factors are you like, if you were to give people some advice, and I'll probably put you a bit on the spot here. So, but what like, you know, even back home in New South Wales Hills, like what factors are you trying to use to find those mature boars rather than just hitting sort of the food?
It's
Yeah,
the same,
food source.
Like, yeah, water plays a big part this time of year, but you find food near the water and you're sort of halfway there.
And what's going to separate that spot from like where like are you expecting to find mobs of pigs there as well?
In certain places you might do, but you'll find there's certain creeks or springs that hold like your boar after boar after boar, and then you hit 3 or 4 family mobs and then no boars for ages, and then all of a sudden you'll come onto one boar. And I always say, like, if we kick up one boar, just keep your eyes open, because normally if there's others around, not just him, you know. And that seems to be, if you think about this past week where we've found.
Oh, for sure.
Like, yeah. and if we're not seeing anything, yeah, and you know, I'll speed you up in them creeks, so it's not taking all day. I'll just think, oh yeah, come on, let's go. And then as soon as I start seeing that sign or I start feeling the love, we'll slow down. And
we had that exact thing yesterday where, we'd walked. It was like our lovely guys had a fair bit on yesterday, so Ayden, Dad, and I just went and did some filming and ended up walking a spring by ourselves. And Ayden and I were walking. There was sign everywhere. We just couldn't find these pigs, and I pretty much said to Ayden, I was like, "Oh, let's go." You know, do like a Smithy walk and just go like a bit faster and sort of burn up this spot until we sort of, you know, find something or find fresher sign. But we're just seeing sign everywhere, so it was sort of hard. And I was like, oh, if we don't see anything at the next water, because there was just a heap of little puddles, I'm like, we'll do like a burn up. And we walk to the next water like 50 yards, and here's one boar. We could hear it walking through the grass or whatever, and then Dad whistles and another one stands up from in the water that we couldn't see and, you know, walks out into the grass that Ayden nearly shot. And it's like, yeah. You know, like as soon as we're there, and then 50 yards past that, there was another one bedded as well.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, nothing. The next minute,
boom.
Yeah, three in the space of 100 yards. You know, so
yeah.
So I learned a lot, particularly about the food sources. Like that was definitely a point that you wanted to put across and like emphasize. And it was cool. On our first afternoon here, we'd just driven up from further south and, basically get here and unpack and sneak in a quick little hunt. And straight away you're pointing to all these trees and like showing us different bark on the trees. And I'll probably pronounce these wrong, but like there was a few different species of, trees that you were speaking that had like the nanga nuts. There were some bush apples. Is it nanga nuts?
Nunga.
Nunga?
Nunga.
Nunga nuts. There you
They're
go.
called a Nandu plum.
There you go. But I constantly had me like searching around. Like we'd get to water holes and I'd kind of be looking for these trees just to see like where, obviously, it was likely that pigs would be. And quite often you found like even today when we looked and I straight away saw all under this tree, it was just rooted up and, dug up. And then you look above and there's these bush apples just sitting there. And they're obviously pretty hungry and chasing that this time of year. Are there any other, like, I suppose, just to answer it, I was going to ask what other ones we're looking for, but I think carcasses are obviously another big, playing card this time of year. We were able to take a couple of boars off carcasses this week.
Yeah, well, what did the first few days, like how many cattle did we find either stuck, perished, even wallabies in the dams,
Yeah, I think we found like in the first 2 days when it was probably the hottest, and just before that rain hit, we found 4 cows stuck or cast, and then 2 wallabies or 3 wallabies in the water, dead or helped them out, and then so yeah, I mean like everything, and that's the thing. Like as we're sitting here, that Matty was saying they're forecast for like 50 to 100 mil of rain. Shortly, we probably got 20 mil. You reckon that?
Yeah, 20 mil maybe widespread, maybe a little bit less, but yeah.
But yeah, we had like a couple of days where before that rain hit that, I mean, it wasn't crazy hot. It was probably 34, 35.
Yeah, mid-30s.
But it was just everything was like hanging. Like you could tell everything we've seen is like hanging on. And as soon as we even just got that 20 mil, it felt like everything just sort of took a little sigh of, because, like I've never, even the pigs and stuff, and I mean, obviously limited experience, but like I've never seen pigs like in poor conditions like that sow that day on that bank that was like barely got up out of the water and just like dragging her feet and just like slumped down in the bush. And, like most of the pigs we're seeing, especially, like all the old boars and stuff, they're like, everything's just hanging on for that wet. Like,
I think you get that up here a bit, but I think that's the draw card you're talking about, tuss and stuff wise. Like there's a lot of pigs in a lot of different places at the moment because we've had a stack of good years, but up here there's always those pigs getting through to old age, and there's always that really good class of boar supports a good set of tuss, you know what I mean? And those people that are chasing it, that's what draws people to Cape York, I suppose, Well, back in the day, I thought, well, that's, if you want to try and shoot something with a big set of hooks, this is where you're going to come,
Introducing the Walk and Stalk Carbon Game Bar and Lift Kit. Lightweight, rugged, and with multi-function design, it's an incredible 7-in-1 do-it-all tool. With benefits before the kill, during the hunt, as well as when the animal hits the deck. Use as a trekking pole in rough terrain. Spot game easier with the monopod-like function. Shoot from a stable rest with the V-shape stabilization. Attach a smartphone or camera for self-filming and photography. Drag critters with ease and haul to a convenient location. Prop the legs open for gutting or disarticulating the hams, and finally, hang the animal using their compact pulley lift kit. Easily lifting game animals up to 200 kilograms in weight. We have tested it on chittle deer and fallow deer here in Australia. Used it in the USA on a range of game animals such as mule deer, pronghorn, and even a bull elk. Want to try it for yourself? Use code TWIN15 at checkout for 15% off your next order. These are absolutely essential for those hunters looking to maximise field butchery and have cleaner, more hygienic meat back at home for the freezer.
Oh, and yeah, I support that. If you want a big set of hooks, come up to Kayuga Adventures, because holy shit. Well, and that's what I mean. Like even just the ones, like even just the pigs that we've seen, for the ones that we've shot some cracking boars, but there's 2 or 3 times as many that we watch, bust out of a bed or walk away up over a ridge, like that straight away come to mind without even like the ones that we didn't get a look at or whatever, like even that boar today, you know, that Ayden pegged the termite mound at. He was a good pig, you know what I mean? Like he would, I would have been stoked to have shoot or film you shoot him or whatever.
Like I said, there are a lot of different strains of pigs up here. There's some pretty hefty boars, and there's a lot of old sandridge boars that are pretty light on, you know. You can sort of see every feature on their body and not too much hair on them. And that boar you're talking about was one of those. He didn't have much size to him. Like, he would have been a 40-kilo boar if he's lucky to be that. And then when he bedded down behind, he wasn't that big. Like, he bedded down behind that palm fronds and disappeared. I could see an ear sticking out. And then you threw that. We got you to throw something in there to try and make him stand up, and you cracked him in the side of the melon. And that was the last we saw of him.
And then he went running out the back.
Yeah.
The plan fell together.
Brad handed me this little stick and goes, "Can you throw that in there?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll do you one better. I'll grab this little bit of broken termite mound that was the size of a tennis ball, and I'll lob it over there." And my instruction was to hit the top of the pandanus that he was sitting under, and I unfortunately misjudged the distance and nearly clocked him in the head at the base of the pandanus. And he basically just like paused for a second and then just ran out the back door and never gave anyone a shot or opportunity, which was a bit of a bummer. I apologise for that one. But
no, it was all right. We used my Crocs there the other week. We had a ball laying up, and we ran out of stuff to throw at him, and just to try. He wasn't laying at a real good angle. He wasn't killable, and we needed him to roll over in his bed. And the only thing I had close to me was my Crocs on my feet. So Summers was in charge of that, and he threw those while I tried to video clinch shoot this ball, clinch shot the boar, and then they both were out there looking for the ball, and I'm trying to work out where my Crocs are going, like where Summers has thrown them to, you know. So
I suppose we're probably making it sound easy just because we've had an amazing week, seen plenty of pigs, but there are a few things that we've sort of repeatedly said here, and like the wind is one factor that definitely keeps these boars alive, but also just like for me, one of my biggest takeaways is just knowing the anatomy and also like understanding how these boars bed, and then trying to like get in super close on really noisy leaf litter. That seemed to be the theme of the trip, and get to like within 20 meters and then pick apart exactly what you're looking at, because you might have this black hairy representation of a pig under a bit of grass or amongst some sand or whatever. It's great if they're just laying there perfectly broadside and you can see where you need to, you know, thread that needle. If they're on like a nice open sandy bank or something. But a lot of these boars have been, you know, as we've said here, under a pandanus bush, in a wallow, amongst other pigs, whatever it may be. So do you guys have any, like, I guess, recommendations for people? Because I've learnt a lot, just like Smithy, you can probably talk to it a little bit, about learning the anatomy. We've broken down nearly every boar that we've shot this week just to look at exactly where our arrow hit, where it ended up, what organs we've taken out, all of the different anatomy, and just, learn it a lot better.
Well, I think that's it. I think I do that a lot more with the better boars, because that's where people seem to struggle. You get a boar on his feet, or any animal on its feet, everyone knows, or they're starting to understand that the heart sits between the shoulders, the lungs wrap around the heart and sit above. Also sit between the shoulders and extend back a little bit. But then you lay a boar on his side, not always broadside. It could be facing you, it could be angling away, it could be laying on his side, not on his belly. It could be spine onto you, or tilted over a little bit with his spine up high, and how deep he's in the bed. There's a lot of factors. But the same thing is that the vitals still sit between the shoulders, so you still got to work at how to get that arrow into that centre mass between the shoulders, in that bottom half of the chest cavity between the shoulders. And that's if you can work that out, and there's certain things I've told you about the ears, what to look for on certain pigs and that, and it's just helpful reference points, if that makes sense.
Explain the ears.
Explain the ears. Well, they all vary a little bit on different pigs. Some pigs' ears flop forward. Other pigs up here, these ferals up here, a lot of them seem to just angle back, sit back against their body, like poke upwards and backwards towards the, above their neck. And the point of their ear, if they're back like that, nearly lines up with the point of the shoulder if you come a straight line down. So you can use that as a reference if they're in their bed and you can't see their legs, or they're in the water, you can't see their legs, or you think, well, his ear's resting back against his body. If I come straight down from there, that's a point of the shoulder. So that's the front of the vital, the kill zone where I need to be. So you come back just a little bit from that, and that'll get you in that chest cavity. Well, it just help you pick up that line. Or if something's angling away, you get a boar that's 3/4 away or half angling away, you can see his opposite here. You can come straight, pick a line straight down from that. You know where you need to hit him along the ribs. So the arrow angles forward up through that chest cavity and out the front of his chest, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's seeing it and having you show me in person. Like, I'd never knew that was a factor. Like, I've used chittle deer ears to measure rough length of beams and stuff like that, but I've never looked at where a pig's ear sits on its body when it lays down. And I can't tell you, I used it yesterday to shoot a pig bedded. I used it earlier in the week to shoot a pig bedded, and completely different shots. Like yesterday was a moderately, quartering away angle. The other day was a pretty tight quartering on angle. And again, just using exactly where that ear sat then gave me a point of reference where I wanted my arrow to either enter or exit that animal. But it's,
just made it a bit easier.
Oh, it's when you've got black there, and then you can go, and a lot of the time they're bedded, as you said, either on their side or in amongst things. And if you can just see that ear, it's so easy to sort of tell what an ear is compared to a mat of black hair. And it gives you oh, okay, that's where it's sitting. That's where I need to come down, and that's what I need to aim for in a lot of these instances. Because we said it time and time again, breaking these boars down. Every single time an arrow went through the point of the shoulder and exited, it didn't really matter where it exited. Like Matty shot a boar today, tight quartering away, came in behind the crease, exited that offside shoulder, that boar's dead on his feet. Didn't matter if you shot something front on and it goes through that shoulder, or quartering on, it goes through the shoulder and ends up near his hip, that boar's dead on his feet. So we, just constantly you emphasize that, hit the shoulder, but don't be afraid to aim for the heart. All the boars that we broke down that we heart shot went 10 yards, if that. Like Matty shot one today that went 10 yards. James shot one the other day off a carcass that went 10 yards.
Well, you look, saying that, we emphasised it today big time, because you shot a boar today, Matty did, double lunged him. And I was thinking, well, maybe only just jag one lung, because we're 120 yards. And but he was on a death run. I still haven't seen this pig. The only time I saw him was before all the years when we were tracking him. That's the only time I laid eyes on this pig. And we got up there and I thought, oh, the arrow's come out pretty good. It was right in the middle of his shoulder. Matty cracked him 3 inches behind the shoulder on the other side. When we opened him up, he had holes through both lungs. And he's gone 120 to 150 yards in a death run, just flat out. But it sort of surprised me how far. We had a good blood trail to follow.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy to follow.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to follow. He was just fast on his feet.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you got everything else that was heart shot, how they only lasted a matter of seconds on their feet, and most of them didn't go 20.
He might have been a little bit fast on his feet because you gave him a little warning shot first.
Yeah, I went to pull tension on my bow and draw back the first time, and my release aid wasn't clicked in properly, and I just sort of threw the arrow out, only about 2 or 3 metres in front of me, and it sort of put him on alert a little bit, and he got up out of his bed and
probably heard me laughing.
Yeah, I could hear Smithy laughing behind me. Anyway, I knocked another arrow and presented another shot, and that's where I hit him.
No, that was pretty good. But I shot a boar with your old man early in the week, and I couldn't. I'm a heart shooter, but I couldn't shoot the heart because a bit of foliage in the road or branches. So I just took him out through both lungs. Watched him run, and he just stayed on his feet for a bit, and I thought, and he walked, stayed on his feet, and I knew something wasn't right. I thought, it was too noisy and the wind was too iffy, so I just backed out, and came back and found him again. I thought I was going to track him and find him dead where I last saw him. And I put him up straight away. He come back to the bed that I nearly shot him at to start with. And then I took out his ticker and he went 10 yards, fell over. And when I opened him up, he had 4 holes in his lungs. And I just sort of blows me away. I seen that years ago, And it just goes to show I'm never not surprised too much nowadays. If something out of the ordinary happens every now and then, and one of those times when someone says, "Oh, Smithy, I smoked this thing, but it's gone." So far, what do you reckon's happened? I thought, well, did you really? Did you open up to have a look? Like, you don't know. But I opened this thing up and I've got the video footage there. Yeah, man couldn't believe it. I think I showed you the footage. I can't explain it, but you shoot them in the heart. That stuff doesn't happen. They can't walk it off.
Oh, I think the benefit of having, so many cameras around this trip, and just going back to your comment, I smoked him and, I didn't find him or he ran, so far or whatever. There was plenty of shots, especially on those bedded boars. And there was, a few that we didn't find that every shot that we're taking, we were confident that we were doing. And then it was just surprising. You're like, oh no, I think that was a good shot. And you use all the landmarks, you glassed them up, whatever. And then you're 2 or 3 inches out from where it should be, which on a bedded pig, even the other day, I used the one that I shot twice so there was a boar bedded slightly quartering on. Could see his, the point of his elbow and use that as a reference. And I was probably, 2 inches too far to the right and low. And as soon as he stood up, I was using 175 grain pilot cut with bleeders. So a pretty horrific head in terms of damage. And I mean, it was probably lucky in the sense that.
Yeah, it was a take no prisoners.
It the blood that just came out on impact. I thought I'd taken out his heart just from obviously. And then we reviewed the shot and Smithy goes straight away. He's like, "Oh, put another arrow on." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was a bit surprised by that. And then because I thought I'd taken out, 2 inches to the left. I thought I was right on that elbow rather than being to the right. And anyway, went up there, shot him again, shot him through the heart the second time at 20. And then, on the autopsy, I'd just sliced a massive hole through his liver. But from, I think it was about 26-yard shot or something like that. And from my perception and view of it at the shot, and even if you were following blood and stuff, there's blood everywhere. And I think you made the really good point where it's if you start seeing pools where they're stopping, I
don't like seeing pools of blood.
Yeah, you get concerned, which I mean, I've had that before too. And I think it's a fair thing because, generally the ones that you can't find, it's the ones that run and then they start pulling up and slowing and pulling up and slowing and then pulling up and then disappear. And then you're left wondering. And I think obviously, it was great for us being able to reflect because we had the footage. But there's still shots that we did that, you're like, oh, I swear that would have smoked him. And we've got video footage, but just,
Yeah, but that was one of those things. As soon as I see that arrow hit, I just thought, oh, it's back further than what I would have liked. Ayden seen the same thing. And what threw you was the amount of blood that came out of him. And that they are a lethal broadhead, what you were using, and it was straight into the middle of that liver. And it just hosed out. It covered the veins. They were white, turned to red. And, but it's like when you chase blood straight away. It's those blood trails where a heap of blood to start with. You're following 40, 50 yards and all of a sudden the blood starts petering out. I'd rather it the other way around. I'd rather try and, there's a bit drop blood there, and here's more. And next minute, there's more. I'd rather it go the other way. It's always good. There's some when you smoke them, sometimes there's blood all the way from you heart shoot them. There's blood from where you hit them to where they fall over.
Kayuga broadheads. Where do I begin? Ayden and I have just absolutely taken to and loved these broadheads. He's shooting the 150 grain Zots while I'm shooting the 150 grain pilot cuts with bleeders. There was no other head that I was going to run in Montana on my limited entry hunt than the pilot cut. And I was so happy when I took down the bull of a lifetime. We've teamed up with Kayuga to get 10% off your next order by using the code TWIN10 at checkout. That is TWIN, 10 the number at checkout to get 10% off your next order. Do you find that those ones where it's because I just think about another boar that probably about 12 months ago that I shot and didn't find, and that it was I reckon I liver shot him now in hindsight. This is back home in New South Wales, but do you and the blood trail was pretty similar, like in sense of like really good blood on the arrow, really good. And I just had a small gap to shoot through, and I thought I was like pretty much on the crease of his thing, and it was angling forward. But I now think I reckon I got the liver and one lung. I just wonder, like, do you think that really good blood trail that sort of peters out to nothing is normally like a liver shot or something like that, or is it?
No, it could be lungs as well, mate.
Lungs as well.
And it depends how if they're twisted and a little bit taut, and you hear them through with the hole through the skin, and where it enters the body through the flesh. If they're twisted and bent around a bit, when they straighten up, that hole on their fur or their skin mightn't line up with what's going through the ribs, if that makes sense. So that they could be a couple of inches out, and that blood won't come back out that hole. So if there's an arrow stuck in there and wedged open, there will be blood hosing back through that cut if you've got a decent sort of broadhead cut in it. But once it's gone or the fighting pad closes up, it makes it really hard with the boars.
Do you notice the difference between, like, if it's just say a high lung shot and a low lung shot too? Like, obviously the lower in the lungs, it's a bit like, whereas if it's high lung, you sort of got to wait for it to
maybe get up to that level
before it starts leaking out.
Depends if, like I said, it all depends if that arrow stays in or doesn't, and depending on if you hit, a main vein or arteries in those lobes of those lungs too. There's a lot in it, mate. No two shots are ever the same, and you just got to take it as it comes, and that's what I know. I use the camera all the time, so it helps me show where the arrow hits. It helps me show where the animals run, and you can sort of see their reaction of what may have happened or what may have occurred. Like, that's why I'm sort of advocate of trying to get as close as I can and trying to keep things simple. Take a few shots and only take a shot when you know you can kill something, not when you're hoping you can hit something. It's too many variables. Animals, they've got no will to, they're not going to give up the ghost. I think we owe it to them to sort of do the best we can and try and put them down as quick as we can. And, that's why I said if something's still standing or I find a pools of blood, well, something's wrong. They should be dead on the ground within 15, 20 seconds. Realistically, that's the goal.
There's another takeaway that I'm really interested in, and something that I've looked at a lot or watched a lot this week, and just the way you guys both talk about your top pin, and it's almost like that one pin inside and out, whether it's 20 meters and you're going to use it at 20, say you have it set at 25 and what that does, height-wise, how much it drops or whatever at 20, how much you need to shoot high at 30 to get it to hit the right spot. And just even with clearance over branches and between limbs and all that type of stuff. So your 25 meter pin, just say, if that's your top pin, is effectively a 20 to 30 meter buffer. Whereas there's a lot of guys that have a 10 meter pin, 20, 30, 40, whatever it may be, and don't actually know how their bow shoots, don't know how many inches above they need to aim over that little lip to get it over that branch, under that branch. And it's cool talking to someone like Brad, specifically. Again, I'm sure you're the same. Today we asked you what pin you used on that animal, and you said, top pin. And, whether that was you aimed an inch or two higher because you thought it was further or whatever, but it's just, there is no other pin nearly. That's your range, which is really cool. That's what I love about, guys like yourselves. And that's why I think you put so many critters on the deck, is because you get close, you keep it simple, like Brad said, but you say keep it simple, but I know your brains are working overtime. You're saying keep it simple, but you're shooting in these 2-inch gaps to get a pig because you know where its anatomy is and where its heart is and all this type of stuff. But you're confident that you're going to get that arrow in there every single time. And I don't know if you can speak to that at all, in the sense of I know Brad, for example, you're almost like a magician with where you can get your arrow to go over using the one pin. It's impressive.
Oh, I suppose I hope I can sort of shoot after about 40 years of doing it. You just get used to something, you know what I mean? But Matty, he's the same. He's you just know that most of the stuff, if we keep it close and simple, we find it we can track stuff, but we both don't like doing it. No. We like watching shit fall over.
And you've got your system in that's 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So if it's out there at 30 and you're going to use your pin, I know Smithy's pin's set at 25. Mine's still set at 20, but I can shoot out to 30 with it. And you aim 12 o'clock in the kill zone. If it's further out than like 20, say if it's 20 metres, 30 metres for me with a 20 metre pin, I'll aim at 12 o'clock and I know it's going to drop in there into the kill zone.
And your 12 o'clock being lungs.
Yeah, 12 o'clock being lungs. Yeah, so 12 o'clock on the kill zone.
Yeah, it's not like your clock face is magically like that blade of grass 3 inches over its back. Like everything is within heart or lungs. Like, and that's, I should actually say and probably explain to you guys, like we rocked up here and there's a yard out the back there littered with 3D wild boar targets. There was a couple on the ground that I was like, they must have had a storm because they're blown over. No, they've got them literally laying on their side so you can shoot in between their shoulders, and they've got this ginger boar with, or I think he's black boar with ginger spots or ginger boar with black spots, whatever. And it was funny. Dad was literally teaching my dad. Did I say Dad was teaching my dad?
Yeah.
Brad, was teaching my
Daddy Brad.
father, my dad Nick, who was also here, where to shoot. And he was literally using that 12 and 6 and whatever. And he said, on that black dot on the shoulder, I need you to hit 12 o'clock. And it was cool just to be able to, see that on all these 3D targets, they've literally got a yellow line across where is a no-go, and then up on the top of the lungs, another yellow line, which is like a no-go. And then these 3D boar targets that they've got are phenomenal. Like anyone looking to buy it, I'm sure we can find out what they are and whatnot. But they've got the heart on there, the lungs, all the anatomy in there, so you know exactly where you're aiming. And I know that Brad's actually put a bit of time into like helping with these, and they're just awesome to be able to get your eye in and actually shoot and make it matter, I guess, rather than just shooting a dot on a target.
Yeah, and it's like it's just knowing your gear as well. Like you have to know your gear to be able to thread the needle. The biggest thing that I see up here is a lot of people, they rely on their rangefinder too much. They shoot a lot of critters with the rangefinder and not with a bow. So I know when I used to have a rangefinder, I'd do the exact same, but once I got rid of the rangefinder and I don't hunt with the rangefinder, I started putting a lot more critters on the deck because if I didn't know the distance, I wasn't close enough.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That was pretty, and I was going to say, like, even, I was going to connect that to saying, like, with changing the pin and ranging and stuff, like the couple of circumstances where Dad's gone and stalked stuff and he's just constantly, like, he ranges something and then takes a step and then ranges again. It's like, mate, you're at 26 a metre ago. You've taken half a step. You're at 25 and a half. You know what I mean? And then he's trying to change his pin from 20 to 30 or whatever. And I think that just comes back to two things. Like you guys, obviously, like you said, you get in nice and close, which is one big factor. But you guys are also shooting, like you've got this range here, which is fantastic. And you shoot and you know your bow's like the back of your hand. So it's like Ayden was saying how you can slip arrows in there over logs and in brush and stuff. Like you know that arrow flight. But you also know, what Matty was saying between the 12 and 6 and stuff, you know how, that you're 4 or 5 inches high from just say 20 to 30 or whatever. Like you know exactly where it's going to hit and you can compensate that with, when you're just shooting things on the floor, hunting on the fly. But that only comes from experience and also practice.
And I think we don't really change it. Like we stick with the same bows for a bit. We use the same setups or same arrow weights. We're not continually changing, so it's nothing's really new, if that makes sense. Yeah, we might upgrade the bow, we might upgrade the sights. Arrow shafts, we might change them from time to time, but they're roughly the same weight, and it's coming down and knowing what to do and putting the time in on the range, understanding what your pin does at certain distances, not just at your 20, 30, 10, all those marks. You need to know what it does at I shoot at 25 yards. I've got my pin set to that, and there's a reason for that because it's halfway between 20 and 30. I don't really shoot much past 30, so if I've got one pin there to do the light, that just makes it simple. I've got a vertical post, and I have got a second pin, but the vertical post helps me line up and give me a line of the opposite shoulder, the opposite ear. It gives me a line on that critter where I need to hit. And that one pin, it's a heap of clarity. It's just one pin I've got to worry about. And I either put it a bit higher or I put it down on its heart. If it's under 25 yards, it's sitting on the base of the heart, on the brisket. it's gonna shoot a little bit high at 13 yards, 15 yards. That's a halfway point between, where the crossover of where the pin hits. Like it's coming off me rest. It hits me 20 pin or 25 pin at about 7 yards and then drops back in out at 25. Between 7 and 25, it's going to shoot a little bit high. It could shoot up to 50 mil high between 15 and 17 yards. 50 mil is 2 inches, which isn't, it's 2/5 of fuck all really. Like it's nothing much to worry about. So if I'm aiming at the heart and it goes a little bit higher, I'm laughing. If it still hits down where the pin is, it hits the heart, so he's dead anyway. And then if he's at 30, I just aim halfway up on a critter. And then it drops down. It might drop 60 mil if I'm aiming halfway, but that puts me down close to the top of the ticker again, top of the heart again. So it's a no-brainer for me.
And it's something that everyone can do at home as well. Just go and shoot your target with your 20-metre pin out to 30 and see how much it drops. Like, just go and practice that. And then, once you know your gear, you can put it into play when you're out there,
Well, I had the Spot Hog, I think it was Godfather or Fast Eddie XXL or something like that, where it's got the 2 pins, so I had mine set to 25 and I knew that the next one down was like 34, which just meant that I could, gave me that perfect reference. And so that way I was like, okay, if it's a 35, you're pretty much like what you said, like you can either use your 25 pin and aim, or you can just lift that double pin up and have it. But it, we've recently started shooting those option 4 sights, and we were actually talking about it the other day. I reckon I get a better sight picture now. And I hadn't shot
the horizontal pin.
I hadn't shot horizontal pins for 6 years, and had always raved about the single pin, that vertical thing, and like what we spoke about, putting it straight up the leg. But because you're putting it straight up the leg, I almost found
covers what you're
trying to, and especially when you're and with the hinge and you're floating a bit and stuff. Whereas now having it just with the horizontals, and especially having that option, there was a couple of times that I really liked it that I could have, I was shooting 25 or whatever and splitting pins, and I had the 20, 30, 40 stack there, or I could put it to exactly 25. But the thing was, if I was shooting at 30 and knew that there was a branch at 20, I could have the thing there and be able to check, am I actually going to get under that branch if I'm shooting at 30 and aiming or whatever. And it helped with actually lining up that sight picture.
Mangoes. Oi. Pig just come in and grabbed a mango. He's out.
Yeah, we're literally...
Gone.
This is how good Kayuga Adventures is. We're sitting here doing a podcast, 4 of us talking. I think Mick's sitting over there 20 yards away from where the mango thief has come in.
Yeah, he's throwing them at him.
And this little sow's come in and stole a mango off the lawn.
I was wondering what you guys were all looking at. I'm like, no.
I thought it was a cat, and then it's a little pig.
But
getting back to that, but that's where it all is, mate. That's why there's so many sight configurations, because we're all a little bit different, and what suits one person doesn't necessarily suit another. So you've just got to find out what agrees with you, if that makes sense.
See the unseen with Leopold Optics. Built for those who demand precision, durability, and clarity, Leopold Optics deliver relentless performance in the field. Trusted by hunters, shooters, and professionals worldwide. I'm currently running the BX4 Range HD 10x42 binoculars. Being able to spot game and then range them without changing between binoculars and rangefinder has been so convenient when hunting and guiding. It allows me to keep a clear field of view on the subject and then accurately read the distance to my clients in real time in the lead up to a shot. For binoculars, rangefinders, spotting scopes, or anything Leopold Optics related, be sure to check out Venture Hunting and Outdoors. The team at Venture stock the full range on their website and have many in store at their Brisbane megastore for you to check out today. Well, Matty, do you want to jump in and maybe just talk a little bit more about gear? Because you would have seen all things bow hunting, obviously with the amount of people that you get through the doors here at Kayuga Adventures, all different experience levels, and just, chat about some of the things that you see.
I reckon their release, 85 to 90% of fuck-ups are from their release, from jumping on the shot, not pulling through, not aiming. And what I mean by that is activating your index finger releases as a now. I want it to go now instead of actually pulling through the shot and letting it break and executing the shot properly. So a now shot, like when you want to activate your index finger release and jump on it, you're actually going to grab the bow with your front hand as well.
Like when they command.
Yeah, command release. Where I like giving people a tension release for a good training aid. So they pull through the shot. They have to understand to activate the shot by pulling, and it'll go out and it'll change their whole mentality and the whole brain function around the release and just aiming. Just continue to aim and keep pulling.
And so these people that come with these subpar releases, are most of them shooting like what I call a trigger release?
Yep.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And generally then like these people, how are they shooting? Like they rock up and they...
Most of the triggers, like Matty just said, the triggers are too light. They're too scared to even put their finger on the trigger because it's going to go off, which is crazy because if they've got the pin or their sight and the pin on the target and they touch the trigger and it actually goes off while the pin's on the target and it scares them, they don't like it, but they've probably hit the target where they've aimed.
That's sort of
a surprise release, do you know what I mean? But they're worried about it, yeah.
Yeah, your best shot, a surprise release. It's like today, both them boars that I shot and that dog, like I didn't know when it was going to go off. I just kept pulling through and it just broke and it was like, oh, and like it sort of scares you a little bit, but when you get that split second, you see that arrow just zipping through where your pin is and it's all good, you know, like instead of just trying to go, oh, I need it to go now. And it's only a split second in between now and getting it to break, you know.
People are worried about missing out on the opportunity, eh?
Yeah.
We've heard that a number of times this year. Oh, you're shooting your hinge really well, mate. How come you're not hunting with your hinge? Oh, I'm just worried that I'm going to be too slow and I'm going to miss the opportunity. Something's going to run before I can get it to activate to go off. And like at the end of the day, accuracy is what kills up here. If you're accurate and you put that arrow where your pin is and that arrow flies to where your pin is, that animal's gone. It's all over.
Well, yeah. I started shooting a hinge 6 years ago off Brad Murphy's advice because I was shooting a trigger poorly and it was costing me animals. And I can't tell you how many people said to me like, oh, but like it goes off like so slowly. Like, aren't you worried about losing animals and whatever? And it's just like, yeah, but if you don't have an extra, like if the difference between me command shooting with a trigger or using a hinge and actually being accurate with my hinge or just like slapping it and having target panic, if that 2 seconds is the thing that cost me a potential opportunity on an animal, well, like you probably didn't have that much of a good opportunity anyway. You know what I mean? I would argue. And like that animal's probably going to be onto you or that thing's, you know, like, cause I've had, if you've got like pigs walking past at 10 or 20 yards, you can still roll a hinge or get a hinge to walk, you know, or a release or, you know, like you can get like all of them to go off quickly, but it's like, yeah, I'd argue that you just didn't have that much of, you know, it was.
Or you haven't got control over.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like, yeah. But you look at, I'm just going to use Mick as an example because today he's been mucking around with the resistance release the last 2 days here. And all of a sudden a light switch has gone on in his head. And he's been using that shot trainer, pulling through the shots with that resistance release. And he's gone back to using his thumb button release. But he's pulling through the same way and it's all of a sudden now he's like, he's got a spring in his step when he's out there. He's smiling because he's never released so good and so cleanly. Because he tried something different that clicked and all of a sudden he understood what he needs to do or to make things work or to get better or to get more consistent is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, just have an open mind in trying it. Like just trying it. Like don't shut it down because obviously like it works for a lot of top archers in the world and that's how they shoot and it's accurate as, so why not like make yourself better?
So when you see people that come here and like, you know, how many people did you say you guys had through this just this year alone, hunters?
I think we had 55 hunters.
And that's like fairly consistent every year?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, they're seeing hundreds of hunters over the years come through. So with that, like if you see someone that's struggling with consistency and, just slapping down on that trigger and stuff, what do you or what's the steps, I guess, or what do you encourage them to do to get better and get out of that sort of trend? Like whether it be gear or release aids?
Or at the start of the week, if they're consistent, we don't want to change too much. And they're hitting what they're aiming at, but we see that it's going to either fail in the long run. They'll start getting too commanding on it. But at the start of the week, if they're consistent, we'll let them go. But by the end of the week and the last day or so, we'll go, look, this is what we can see that you can improve on, and this is what you can try. Well, I sort of send them home. We don't want to change them too much at the start of the week because it can stuff with their head. And it wreck their whole hunt. We don't want to wreck their hunt, but we want to make them better. But if they're inconsistent and throughout the week, then we'll start addressing things. Yeah.
I've seen.
You might have to. We have to step in with some people because their groups aren't.
They're just not ethical.
No, it's not. It's not right. Some people. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of people that want to try and they take up archery and they want to try and do it, but they want to start hunting before they're ready. And then it's a hard decision for us because it's like, yeah, you've come here to pay the money to do this, but we've got an obligation. And realistically, we can't. If they're not shooting groups, we'll either limit them to a distance, and we'll have a few stalks, and then they've got to prove that they can continually group and get this in there. But some people, I suppose I'm a bit off the track there, but that's what we dealt with, isn't it?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, some people thought that they might have a little problem, but they're shooting fine. It's not a problem, and you'll just let them know. So when they leave here, they can go home and work on it.
We also see, like, we run the beginner bow hunts and that, and we get a fair few people that come up and just want to do the hunt, but realistically they're not ready to do the hunt. Like, they're more situated with the beginner bow hunts where we go through all this and like all the shot processes and gear and release aids and form, and we just delve a lot more into it. You still hunt for the whole week, for the 5 or 6 days. You still hunt, but you just go through a different process. And yeah, like I said, a lot of hunters probably that come up that just want to hunt, they should do the beginner bow hunters. Like,
yeah, they're not quite ready.
They're not quite ready to hunt.
Absolutely. And like, there's little intricate details as part of this. Like, I know for James and I, we obviously hunt a lot and shoot quite a few critters and stuff, but it's like little things that I've never done is, like, for example, Brad's got his super slow-mo camera there that shoots up to 240 frames a second. And if you come on these hunts and do these individual like beginner bow hunter courses, on the first morning, I think it is, Brad's sitting there behind you in the shadows when there's no wind on these targets, and he's watching you shoot your arrows into a target and just watching your arrow flight, just checking all these tiny little things. And it's actually interesting. Like, I've taken away a heap from this. I probably next time want to come and under your guidance learn how to shoot a hinge now, because like for me, I've got a lot better. Like, you would have seen this probably, Brad, over the last few years. I've always struggled with a bit of target panic, jumping, just not, commanding my shots, not being able to execute a shot sequence nicely. And again, fortunately for me, probably with like the hunting side of things, get close and have always pretty much set boundaries on how far I shoot, which means that, my shortcomings as an actual archer aren't exacerbated by if I was shooting out, long distances as such. But this year I've been using a thumb release. And for me, just going from a trigger release, like all that index finger, to a thumb release, not even a thumb like something like that.
Yeah. That's helped you immensely.
It's huge. Like, my groups out to 60 yards now are, 5-6 inches.
Well, that's what you said before, Matty. Yep. Like, Matty likes anyone that's like command shooting or jumping on the shot with an index finger release. He likes pushing them towards a resistance to start with, because that teaches them what they need to do, or if they pull through the shot, what it feels like. And they've got no control over it. They can't jam on anything. They've just got to keep pulling, and all of a sudden it'll break. Shot will go off. So they've got to hold the pin on the target learn to pull through, keep a high elbow, and learn to use the correct muscles to pull through a shot. And all of a sudden, their groups, they'll start grouping again. Won't jump. They're not jumping on shots or expecting the arrow to go off. And we're getting we get a lot of blokes that they jump on it. Next minute, they shoot high and right or high and because they try and give it
a whop.
Yeah, give it and lift it up with their front hand as well. You know.
And I only know that from my own experience because I suffered with target panic a fair bit, and like I tried to do a lot of things to fix it. And then once I actually talked to Smithy, and he said, get a car to squeeze me. This is probably 11 or 12 years ago now. And soon as I done that, it was like I shot that for 3 months straight. And then when I went back to a normal release, it was like a whole different ball game. So I just revert straight back to that. Even if I start jumping on shots now, I just go straight back to that and just retrain my brain. And I also have a couple of different releases. So I've got a tension release that I hunt with, and I've also got a hinge release that I hunt with. And generally I carry both of them when I'm hunting. And I don't even know which one I pull up.
You just great. You're reaching whatever comes out of the pocket. That's what you shoot.
Yeah, that's what I shoot. And at any animal, because I just know that if you go through the shot process, you can get it to break.
Numa Outdoors is our camouflage clothing of choice. The team has formulated a durable, breathable, quiet and comfortable camouflage lineup, suitable for all terrains, season and pursuits, with a great pattern to keep you concealed. You may have recently seen us running the Renegade lineup in our recent adventures up north. We're pleased to announce that Numa products are available in Australia, so head to Venture Hunting Outdoors website to check them out for yourself.
I'm hearing people at home asking us, how much does a hunt cost? How do they get here? All that type of stuff. Are you happy to answer? Because, like, for example, Dad, it's been really enjoyable to watch Dad come up on this trip as well. And he's been shooting his bow, credit to him, before the trip, been shooting at home quite a lot, out to I think 30 metres or just under, I think is what he can shoot to in the backyard. And coming out here, even when I saw him shoot, I was like, oh, he's actually, ready to go. He's doing well. But then watching him work with Brad, and it's been really exciting. Again, watching the arrow flight, I think Brad changed his peep out just to let him more light. Some of his arrows were a little bit too long. So they've got all the facilities, all the gear here. They've trimmed his arrows down. They've, got everything back into line, ready to go. And seeing Dad, who I would say is someone that loves his hunting, has grown up doing his hunting, but now sort of struggles time-wise and only gets out for a hunt maybe every 6 months, every year sort of thing. He's come out on this trip and you can see the excitement, just build. And he's already nah, next year I'm coming. I'm book me in, boys. I'm bringing a party of, he's mentioned all of our different family members who hunt, friends of family and stuff that hunt. He's like, I'm bringing everyone. He's doing this trip. He wants to do it. For people that do want to come and do this, and actually, because I think for people, say you've just started your bow hunting journey, you are shooting critters or you're trying to shoot critters and you're just want to get to that next step and have a few things just for me, I think this would just put people on the, it's almost like building a bit of a culture in how you, again, not meant for me to put my values and thoughts and ethics on people, but if I could, if I was a father and I knew my son came here and I guess ended up as hunters and hunted how you guys do, had these same ethics, all that type of stuff, I'd be very proud, just put it bluntly or plainly. And I think if you're a new hunter going, or even someone that does a bit of hunting but goes, oh, this actually sounds pretty good, I just want to go and just reinforce that what I'm doing is potentially, going down the right way. How do they go about that?
Yeah, just so you can, we've got a website. You can email us through the website as for an inquiry. Also on Insta, Kayuga Adventures. And just contact us through there. Ask us a few questions if you need to, and we'll go from there. We'll try and get a phone call happening to see what your expectations are. And to be honest, if your expectations are to turn up and want to shoot 8 or 10 boars a day with a bow or whatnot, this isn't the right place. But you'll definitely get a lot of opportunity and learn a lot. So,
Yeah. Oh, and again, doing like my own guided with spotted safaris, it's the amount of inquiries you get, and it's like, oh, am I guaranteed to shoot a 30-incher? It's like, no, not even guaranteed to see one. You know, there's so many factors outside of the hunting, but what you will get here is like amazing camaraderie in camp. You're going to learn a heap, and you're going to leave being like, I want to go back. That's what I would guarantee. Unless, to be honest, unless you're a bit of a wanker and have a super high ego, like Brad's pointed me out on 20 different things that I do incorrectly with my hunting. And again, if you're willing to learn 30, yeah. But honestly, if you're willing to like learn and take lessons from it, and again, be like surrounded by good people, then this is definitely a really good hunting camp, and something that I'd recommend people checking out for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I haven't picked you up on anything, I don't think. But anyway, it's just, like I said, me and Matty only know what works for us and what works time and time again. We learn a lot from the hunters we get here as well. Like sitting back and watching how they go, see the gear they use, you think, oh, yeah, that's pretty sweet how he's done that, or how they go about this, and then we see what doesn't work as well. So,
yeah, and we don't know, like, we
don't know everything.
No, definitely not. Yeah, far from it. And there's no egos in camp. Like, we pull them in the line too. So, it's, come up and have a good time and learn some stuff and get a stalk on a few critters. And
yeah, just enjoy your week away, you know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of people that come here that don't know each other, and then now they've been, like, after the return, they come back here every year and they're hunting with people that they met here. And they're not just hunting here with them people, they've become friends, and they're hunting, all over the different parts of the planet, really, different parts of Australia.
I think that is even like with our small, like it was just Ayden, Dad and I, and then, Maddie and Brad and Mick. So, I mean, we're like what I would call like a small hunting camp for what we've heard you guys have here at Kayuga Adventures. But like even within that, it was cool because there were some days that, Ayden, Matt and I went off, or Ayden, Brad and I went off, and then Dad and Matt went a different direction and Mick's going a different direction. You come back at night and you're all having like, I should say, like the food and stuff that we've had here was, to be honest, nothing against you lads, but like proper surprising too. Because I mean, like you think hunting camp, and I mean, I don't know, like because you're not like
what are you saying?
yeah,
you're not chefs, but you're also not like you're out hunting all day, and then you get back, and then there's like, these incredible meals waiting for you in camp, and then the thing that I really appreciate is you get to like talk about and learn from each other's successes or stuff ups, and you've got. Like, I mean, the filming side for us, like we said, was massive because you've got like that perspective or that different angle, so you can actually live review what's going on rather than just being, oh yeah, I think I shot him really well. And then you're like, oh, actually, and then you look at the footage, you're like, nah. And then other people can learn from that too. And I think that's like huge because it's like you come up here and you may not have that much hunting experience, or you may have heaps of hunting experience, but like I'm guaranteed that you're going to learn so much. And it's like, it's so many different factors. Like what Ayden was saying before, like we do a little bit of hunting, but our massive shortfall is definitely like a gear and tuning stuff. And even like what he was saying about like watching the arrows in flight and just talking to you because you guys have done so much and seen so much stuff. Like, you're not necessarily telling us things. It's more just like you're sharing stories. And from that, if you're like listening, which I know you probably don't think that I do that much, but like you just learn almost like organically, or like it just, it just sits in there, and then, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then you go use that on the next stalk, or you think about that on your release, or how you hold the bow, or and it could be even just things on like gear that you may use in the future or whatever. But it's just like there's so like you're just in that environment where it's just like you can't help but pick up so much things about whether it's stalking or shooting or what gear to use or whatever.
Yeah, we're still learning too. Like you never stop learning, and it's just every shot, every stalk, you don't know what we're going to find when we go out there. We sort of, every now and then we get lucky and bump into a few old pigs here and there. And, nothing's guaranteed. Like you said, at the end of the day, we can't guarantee people that they're going to shoot this, shoot that, but we can guarantee that they're going to see pigs and they're going to get a few chances, and they won't go home hungry. I know that. So
I wanted to jump back around because we obviously spoke about, like you guys do get the privilege of seeing so many people come through this camp. So we spoke about shooting wise that, like their release was probably the biggest thing. Gear-wise, and I'll probably direct this at you, Matty, gear-wise, what do you normally see as like the biggest, fail that people have? Is it like, broadheads, arrows, boots, camo, bows, not tuned? Like, what do you normally...
Do you see fitness as a thing up here? Is it more because I know how hot it gets, but it's not like you're marching up and down the hills every day, but you're obviously on your feet doing creeks and swamps and things. So
fitness is a thing. Like you have to be sort of half sort of fit, but also like you can also sit on water holes as well. If it's hot, you can sit on water holes, food sources, pads, stuff like that. We can drop you off, pick you up.
That's more catering to people though. Like
yeah.
obviously, that's where someone rocks up and they're probably a little bit on the heavier side and they say, "Hey, I can't walk."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Cool, we can accommodate that," but it's obviously probably not your preferred hunting style, like the most effective. Like if you said, "Hey, you can either sit on this dam or food source, or we can go and walk this spring," like I'm sure, or whatever, like hunt a swamp or something.
Yeah, well, it's funny, but like as Smithy says all the time, like we leave good hunting areas way too fast. We don't spend enough time. Like I know myself, like I like to make something happen. I'm pretty aggressive. You go in, look at a water hole and you go, "Oh, nothing's there." Right there, turn around, we'll go find something else. But there is a lot of instances like that you sit there and something is going to walk in. Like at some point, something will come past your path, so it's a catch-22 what you want to do. I personally like to go and find stuff. I like to explore and find stuff, look at them foods, always trying to work sort of something out.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's the thing. And like I said, if the sign's there in a lot of those water holes, I tell the blokes that, well, we can stay here. The time of day it is, something is going to come in here, but we are a little bit sport. We have got hundreds of water holes, swamps, miles of creeks and springs to hunt, so we can always keep busy, keep active. But if we do need to drop people off, if someone's getting a bit sore or they blistered up, we can drop them off on those certain water holes, and they do pay dividends, you know what I mean? We had a bloke here a couple of years ago, and I think every day we put him somewhere different, and he shot just as many pigs that week as the other boys. We walked everywhere.
Oh, and you even made the comment the other day, like you're like, we're sitting somewhere and we're getting the wraps out to eat, and you're like, "Oh, this is where the boar. This is, just as I start unpeeling my wrap, this is when the boar's going to walk out." Which is true. Like how many times you just sit there for a minute and it's like, "Oh, we've just hit 5 water holes," and like, yeah, we've seen some boars and stuff, but
it's a timing thing,
Yeah, and especially because you're hitting, like what you said, like we've come, the ripe end of the season where it's like everything's congregated. You guys have done all the heavy lifting and hard work for us. You know where the food sources still are. You know what's been exhausted. You know where you're seeing pigs and stuff. So it's like, you're missing that dam, but you're hitting that one. And you're like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen a boar here already that we bumped, 3 weeks ago or whatever." So it's like we've got a whole season's worth of knowledge, that we're off, doing this trip off the back of. And that's why it's so effective. But, yeah,
it's a gamble too. This time of year, you coming here to do this, it's either if it rains the week before you get here or 2 weeks before you get here, it's not going to be like this.
Oh, yeah. And that's what we were like. I was talking to Matty leading up to this trip, and he's like, "Oh, we might be getting some rain." I'm like, "It can't rain. It can't rain." And he's like, "Oh, it's fine. We'll just find them on the ridges." I'm like, "No, I do not want because we've had a few trips out west, like Western New South Wales and stuff, where it's, February, it's 42, it's hot, there's no water anywhere, and you're just doing water runs on dams. And so we know, and same thing, we had that cool hunt in the Northern Territory last year in September where, we found the last pool of water on the edge of a floodplain that didn't have a croc in it and had some awesome hunts on that. And so it's like, when the conditions are right and the pigs are congregated, it's hot, you can have these awesome situations. And we've, by the sounds of it, got very lucky in the sense of, like I said earlier in the podcast, they're expecting a shitload of rain in the next week or so, but equally that could have happened a week earlier and this trip would have been, completely different.
We got a couple of arvos of rain, but I think the first few days, I tried to take you to as many different spots. It wasn't the same thing day in, day out. So you had You got a bit of the dam action. You got a few creeks, springs, and even some of the creeks we walked. Some was rocky, others were sandy. You know, bigger banks. Some weren't as big. They were shallow. Like today was a different day again. You know, so and then some of that springs we hunt is like really green, thick vegetation.
Loud.
You know? Hey?
Loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It seems to be loud wherever you walk, James.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does vary a lot, just in terms of like, yeah, if you've got a little spring with dry sort of grass and sandy bottom, or if it's like a dark clay, like black soil sort of stuff, a lot more tendency for there to be like wallows and those bigger pools of water that sort of hold, or even a bit of a flowing sort of spring. And then if they're lined with like cabbage palms, or even if the trees above have dumped all their leaves, like it just changes so much.
That leaf dump at the moment is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, which you were saying is pretty common now with like late season when things are drying up. Iron Gate Knives are an Australian-owned and operated small business. They specialise in quality handmade knives. Whether it's a hunting knife, filleting knife, cleaver, or custom creation, get in touch with the team today and they will take care of you. Sign up to their email list for up-to-date news relating to their weekly knife drops. It's a first-in, first-served system, so be quick. We have just got our hands on a few knives from their range and they are super impressive. They make epic gifts for a friend or loved one and will last generations. It's not often that you can say that a tool will outlast its owner, but that's a fact when talking about quality blades. Check out Iron Gate Knives today by visiting irongateknives.com. I was actually going to ask earlier, just if people are thinking about when they'd like to come. Do you start your hunts normally in around May, June?
No, actually we start the hunts usually in August.
Oh, August.
Yeah. We used to do a few hunts in June, but we had a couple of big years in the wet season and we were getting bogged every day, only 2 k's from the house. So
yeah, well, that was what Jerry.
Yes.
I was coming up and I was doing an early season hunt here in June, helping sort of around here, and Jerry come up and we filmed a couple of hunts, and I thought, and then Matty said, well, I want to do this, do a couple of bow harness courses and just do the swamp thing. I thought, well, that could work because we're finding a lot of sows and family mobs, and they can, you know, put their skills towards that. You know, we thought, so we did a couple of seasons in June, and then we had them big wets, and then it was like, yeah, it made it very, very difficult. That was, we knocked that on the head and we started putting them back to August, hey?
yeah. So
It's a lot better.
yeah, it's more reliable. We can get around. Earlier in the season, you're hunting a lot more swamps and food source than creeks. Like you're swamp hopping a bit. You find bulgaroo. The nunda nuts are starting to come on the ridges. And your late season, the temperature is a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, it's way more comfortable.
Way more comfortable. The wind is probably a little bit more consistent. So yeah, you sort of find something out on a swamp, you got a pretty good chance that you'll get in on it. Late season hunts, you're dealing with the high heat, humidity, wind changing direction, big leaf dump. Critters are congregated, but you got a lot more eyes, ears, noses to contend with.
So I guess like early season, you'll have, either time you're probably going to have a lot of opportunities.
Well,
but
the benefit about your early season is that all the animals haven't been hunted yet, if that makes sense. So everything you're hunting is just that haven't been pressured. So then the older pigs are still onto you. There's no 2 chances. But some of the other pigs, it's just like they're a bit oblivious to even any bit of danger. Haven't heard too many vehicles, haven't heard this and that. So, you know, the first few weeks, normally they do pretty well. And then, but if it's wet still, then they could struggle a little bit. September's normally pretty run-of-the-mill, pretty good through September. Like you're getting it when it's drying out. When it's hot, things are starting to get to water regularly, so it's a good month as well. You leave it till October, that can be really good, but the winds are starting to play a little bit, or if we get early rains, that could change the whole show. So it's, the thing about it is, doesn't matter when you're coming, you're going to find pigs. It just depends on how it is that week. You know what I mean? We just got to take it as it comes. We've got no control over the weather, and we've just got to deal with. Like I said, I don't use a wind detector because they just depress me. Like up here, I'd rather just get up there and face it, work it out.
Oh, and it's almost like what you said. Like there was pockets where it was like, no, we're just going to walk through here. You know what I mean? Like it's like maybe it's just here, and then because there was time, like even today there was like, we'll do a big loop to get the wind right. And then it's like, nah, it's not going right. So we'll walk back this way, and then we're halfway back walking back. We're like, oh, it's not good there either. We'll just keep walking here, and it worked out. But then there's plenty of times that you're sitting there and you've just seen a boar or a mob or something like that, and like 50, 100 yards, and yeah, that there's no way it could have been us, and they've taken off. But I mean, that is just the game, and like I've said, like I think, yeah, I mean for us, it's just like with how many pigs and what you've said, you're going to see pigs, so it's just finding the time and the area that the wind does hold. Hopefully they're not surrounded by a heap of cabbage palm or loud leaves, and then you can actually find a pad and get in there and stuff. But yeah, I mean it's more just whether you're experienced or whether you're not, like you're going to get opportunities at every class of pig, and that's I think the big thing. Like you're going to get opportunities, and you're going to have heaps of practice, which is awesome.
Every year's a little bit different here, Matty. We just got to find, like, there's certain creeks we like hunting early, and they're really good. And then if you get it wrong, or you leave it that week too late, or you're there a week too early, well, we've got to work it all out. And every 1 week to the next, when you don't hunt new country all week, but I can guarantee if someone 1 week to another, they will hunt some new country that week. You will hunt some country that is already working. We'll go back and do that. But every week you're moving into new ground, so you get a chance to hunt some new country and work out what the go is.
And there's
first crack at the Boars, yeah.
Yeah, and there's 600,000 acres here, I think I heard you guys mention. So just to put into perspective, you can go and do, in a week-long trip, say 2 or 3 different springs or whatever a day, and you wouldn't even scratch the surface. So having the ability to, be able to go to a swamp that the bullgaroo might be going off, and there could be a few good boars on there or a family mob or whatever it may be, and they're in that area from the last week or two, it's worth going and checking it out. If they're there, then great. If not, then you go, okay, what other swamp is in the area that has similar sort of, factors? And that's what these guides that have been coming here for years and years and years, and obviously under the influence of, instruction by Matty and just the way that they do things here at Kayuga Adventures, you're pretty much in the hands of experts that know this property really, really well. And like, how long have you been coming out to the Cape for? You said 30 odd years? Yeah, which is phenomenal. And lives and breathes it, like we were talking about, because we've just come back from the US. Like, when are you going to the US next? And he's like, as long as we're here, I'm not going to the US for a while. So
yeah. It's just sort of hard. Like it cuts into me work season here, so I'll get a break shortly. I've got some points to use up on Wyoming, so that'll either be next year or the year after. Probably a couple of years, I dare say.
No, very good. It's a beautiful place. Even just like the wildlife, the amount of freshwater crocodiles we've seen, the bird life is spectacular. Just again, being so remote, and even the pigs, they're a different type of critter. Like, they're different. If you're used to hunting the mountains or even territory or anywhere like that, crop boars down in New South Wales or something, these pigs are just different. I think the first boar that Dad shot, I was kind of like, is it sick? What's going on with it? It was like a 40-kilo pig, 35, and had 3 inches of hooks hanging out the side of its mouth. And I was just like, what? It was unfathomable. Like, walking into that as like the first boar that we got, it was just, yeah. And as I said, it was just awesome seeing Dad get amongst it, have a really good time. And yeah, James and I are both very appreciative for all the time you put into this week, and even doing this podcast and shedding some knowledge and wisdom with the listeners. I know they would take a lot out of this.
Oh, yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah. No, it's been good having you here, and get to show you around, and got to capitalise on a few opportunities, and yeah, it's been good.
And we got up to a bit of mischief today and filmed a few bow hunts or bow kills with the boys as well. So I'm sure we'll be able to put that out somewhere as a bit of a film or some reels or whatever. So you'll be able to see the boys in action as well. It was good. They were handy. I think they've been scratching all week, helping us on our hunting adventures. And then today they've gone out and shown us, who the experts are. And it's been a really good thing to watch. So thanks again for putting up with us with the lenses and the camera gear and mics and everything. But
we're pretty used to that.
Yep.
Yeah. We're used to that, mate.
Yeah, I feel like we weren't too bad with the camera gear.
No,
and the mics
that's
and stuff.
good.
Yeah, right. Are you good?
Yeah. Like I said, we're used to it. We know what goes on. Being on the other, just was good to have it in reverse for a little bit, you know.
Oh, perfect. Well, unless there's any other hot topics you guys want to discuss, it's been a bit of a lastminute.com. We sort of wanted to leave it for later in the trip so we could talk about some stuff from here, but we've left it to the last night and we have to get up at 4 to drive to Cairns. So, unless there's anything else anyone wants to hit, I think we'll wrap it up there. But thank you. Obviously thank you both for putting plenty of time into taking us around and putting up with us. I know the Doumtsis clan can be a big personality group. Thanks, Matty, for having us up here at Kayuga Adventures. It has been a fantastic week full of opportunity and, just the lessons and guidance that we've got from both of you. It's been really important to us and we've learnt a lot. So thank you for having us and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, mate, all good.
Perfect. Alrighty, we'll catch you all next week on the Twin Elements podcast. Cheers. Once again, thank you very much to Brad and Matt for their time contribution today and helping us over the last week. As you are all hearing this, our epic 8-part YouTube series from the USA has just wrapped up on our YouTube channel. Next, we keep the momentum going and jump straight into our epic red deer adventure from 2025. That's us hunting the rut for reds, fallow, the odd boar, feral billy goat, you name it. Anything in the hills in New South Wales, it's up for grabs. So there's another 7 films hitting your screens in the coming weeks. After that, we will drop all the footage from this year's Cape York hunts, which you've just heard about over the last few podcast episodes. And we will see you every Wednesday evening on the Twin Elements YouTube channel from 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So please make sure that you guys are all showing your support. Make sure you're liking, commenting and subscribing to keep up to date and help our YouTube channel grow. James and I are going to be all hands on deck over the next few weeks, processing and editing photos, reels and footage and all that type of stuff to show you exactly what we've captured on our latest adventures. As a listener of the Twin Elements podcast, you guys can be rewarded when shopping on our website. So use code the Twin Elements podcast for 10% off all prints. We have over 40 prints listed on the website and they are all 10% off for you guys, our valued listeners. So lastly, please continue to show your support for the podcast. We see a lot of you guys are subscribing, reviewing the podcast, leaving 5-star reviews, and we appreciate it immensely. It just helps us spread the word, obviously get registered higher up in the podcast feeds and suggested to other people. So thank you very much, legends, for your support, and we will see you on the next episode of the Twin Elements podcast. Cheers.